Right now, you're seeing me from the lens of the Canon R100 with a 16 millimeter lens. It's a nice compact setup, but I was wondering if I could get away with something even smaller, namely the DJI Action 4. Picked this up on like Black Friday for 200 bucks. It seemed like a really good deal at that price. And I'm wondering if not only this will be more functional as an action camera, which obviously the R100 won't be, but I'm also wondering if I can use the Action 4 here at my desk to make it a little bit simpler setup as we go forward. So we're going to dive into the Action 4. I'm going to explain to you kind of my process of testing, and then ultimately I'll show you some footage and I'll tell you where I land with, can I use this camera to replace my R100, knowing that I still have an RP that I can use for serious photography work. So I went through and recorded a bunch of videos with the DJI as well as the R100 as well as my iPhone, just to get like a feel for what the quality was in all of these. And I'm going to cut to some of those and I'm just going to overlay some of those as I'm talking here. And that way you'll get like a good kind of idea of just what my thought process is and how I feel like all these stack up. I would say that, the EOS R100 with that 16 millimeter lens, it definitely looks the best. No doubt about that. The audio on the R100 actually sounds kind of terrible though. So if you're looking to just grab footage real fast, like I think the Action Cam, even on its stock settings, which I don't think it looks very good, but even then, I think all in all, you're going to get a better kind of audio video for a smaller screen like somebody's phone. I don't think it's really going to matter all that much. The iPhone is pretty good too, just stock footage, but I feel like it tends to overexpose things quite a bit, which I don't like. Once you start getting into actually tweaking the settings, I don't feel like I ever get the DJI to look as good as the R100, obviously, but I think it looks pretty darn good though once you get some custom settings dialed in on it. The iPhone, I feel like, is a little bit tougher, honestly, to dial in. You definitely have to use something besides the regular video app. I find that the iPhone like overexposes things a ton and just over sharpens, overexposes. The DJI, if it's left to its own devices, will do those things too. But once you put it into D-Log and control the shutter speed and the exposure and all that and get the sharpness and stuff turned down, I think the DJI footage is actually pretty easy to work with and pretty easy to make it look good. So I think ultimately, if you're looking for supreme quality, obviously you're going to have to go with something like a mirrorless. Even a cheap mirrorless like the R100 is going to put out better images. But as far as ease of use and getting to that good enough point, especially if you like this wide kind of viewpoint, I actually really like the DJI for this, assuming you've got adequate lighting and things like that, which obviously down here in my office I've got plenty of lighting going on. The iPhone, it records great video if that's what you've got to use. I really don't like kind of the way it just brightens things up so incredibly much. And I know I can go in and dial custom settings and use like the Blackmagic app and things like that, but then it just starts to become cumbersome. I really like with the DJI that I can get my settings, my custom settings dialed in and just boom, I turn it on, I start to shoot. It's so incredibly simple. I just find it very user friendly to use, and it's easy to work with those files in post too. The other thing that really I think comes to light here when using the DJI is just how easy it is to get other types of footage. And again, obviously your phone can do time lapses and slow motion and things like that too. But I find that with the DJI, I'm just more willing to let it kind of do its thing, and I don't worry about, am I taking up too much storage and things like that. If you're recording 4K on the iPhone, like it eats through storage like pretty quickly. I like that I can keep the DJI in 4K with like a 128 gig card in it, and I can, record 120 FPS, and I'm just not that worried about it because I don't have to consider my phone. I can go grab the files I want, and then I just delete them off the card. It's very simple and easy to use, and I'm not worried about taking up a ton of space like I am with my phone. it's just kind of like nice to have that other camera doing that stuff, and a camera that's weather sealed so I can just leave it outdoors, give it to my kids. I'm not worried about it, but it still gets really nice images, and it does well at the slow motion. I was really impressed with the slow motion, but also the time lapses are just very simple to use too. So here's the thing. After looking through all of this footage and playing around with the different settings and stuff like that, I've come to the conclusion that yes, the DJI Action 4 can actually work for me in my sitting talking head stuff. At least for this channel. I don't need that footage to look like super fantastic. And honestly, the ease of use of this little camera plus the versatility that it gives me just with my camera kit, I would rather have this as my second camera. Again, knowing that I've already got an EOS RP with good lenses and things like that. If I want a big camera, I can take this. I can get absolutely fantastic image quality out of it. If I want just simplicity, fast, I can bring it in, nasty conditions. You saw those shots from like the snowy and icy days, which I am hesitant to bring this guy out there, but the Action 4, no big deal. And yes, could I use my phone, and did I use my phone on those days too? Yeah, I did sometimes, but even then, I still just kind of prefer having a dedicated camera to use. And that's not even to mention things like taking time lapses and stuff like that, where I feel like I can just leave the Action 4 and I'm just not worried about it. Like, it's gonna be fine, whereas I don't want to just leave my phone like sitting outside for long periods of time and things like that. So I actually am really loving this camera. I think that the image quality looks good once you tweak it to your preferences. And I also have just thought that the microphone quality on this thing has been fantastic. Like, you're hearing audio straight out of camera right now. And actually all of the audio in this video has been just audio straight out of the camera here. It sounds so good. And that's not even to mention that I can use this also with this little guy. So this is DJI's newest wireless mic, like the Mini, and I bought this little transmitter for $60. So you're talking Action 4 with a lapel mic that hooks up to it directly, and all that's for less than $300. And this is going to be a super versatile piece of kit, I think. And I'll do some experimenting with this here in the near future. So don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in checking that out. So the other thing that I want to touch on just real quickly here is still images. Now, not that a lot of people are probably going to be using the DJI Action 4 or any camera like this for a lot of still photography, but I would say that once you kind of learn what it can do, it is definitely possible to get some pretty interesting results with it. Just know, like, it's not going to be as easy to use as something like an iPhone to get pictures with, and certainly you're not going to get the same image quality as a full as a full size like mirrorless camera. Like, it's just not going to happen. The thing that I had trouble with the most is I was trying to get like too close, and I was getting closer than it actually focused. But if you understand where that spot is and then take your photos accordingly to that, I thought it actually turned out pretty good, some of the photos. So I did take a bunch of photos during the ice storm, or after the ice storm that we had here, and I would say that I probably preferred shots from my my EOS RP and my iPhone, but there were a couple of shots from the Action 4 here that I thought turned out pretty well. So lastly here, we should probably talk about like functionality a little bit with just the app and things. And I would say that the app works okay. The trick though, or the little bug that I found, was that when you can see, like, when I was first opening up, like, I wasn't able to get my actual images and things like that. So I wanted to show you how to fix that. So you actually have to go in and you need to turn on airplane mode. So once you're in, you can see now that I've opened the app and I'm in airplane mode, like, now I can actually get to my photos and videos, and I can preview them. So that all works really well, and the files transfer really, really quickly once you turn it into airplane mode. I don't know if there's another fix where I can use this where it's not in airplane mode, but in airplane mode, once you pull up the app, it works really well. I haven't tried really doing any of the other stuff that's in here, which, you know, honestly, it looks like there's quite a bit, but I think I'll save that functionality for another video after I've had a chance to dive into it a little bit more. So yeah, I've just been super impressed with this little camera. I'm very happy I picked it up for $200. I don't think you can go wrong. I mean, at that price, it's basically like almost a disposable camera. You know what I mean? Like, certainly less to worry about than a big camera or you know, $1,000 phone. So I'm super pleased with it. Is there features that it's missing from something like a GoPro? The only one that I can really think of that I wish I would have is, I know GoPros you can program to like turn on and take a picture at a certain time of day, so you can do like long extended time lapses. That feature I would actually probably use if it was in the DJI, but for everyday just like shooting, capturing stuff, I think the DJI does a fantastic job. And I'm excited to have it in my camera kit to, you know, play around with in the near future and just see what I can come up with. I'm also experimenting with different lenses for my full frame here because, you know, I've got little kids that I'm trying to shoot, and I just don't have time to be swapping lenses and multiple cameras and things like that. I got to simplify my kit. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now, is just simplifying, making things easy and fun to use so I capture more videos and photos and just enjoy doing the work more. So if you're interested in coming along on this journey with me, you know, to subscribe. I'll be talking more about, you know, the Action camera and how I'm using it. I'll be talking more about, you know, my lenses that I'm using in the rest of my camera kit. And, you know, I'll do some videos and some stuff around that in the near future. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.